So this is really, the procedures are going well, we think it's safe, and now we're hoping to see what the results are. And I can't wait. This is the hardest part of clinical trials for me, and we'll see. So I hope by next year, this time, I can tell you something very good about this. Okay, so that's my first 3 minutes. Amazingly, people are popping out of the woodworks wanting to participate in the clinical trials. So we've been working for the last 2 years organizing a clinical trial in India as well. In China, by the way, we have 24 centers. In India, we will have 6 centers, and we're the medical organization that's doing this is helping us with this is a place called Apollo Hospitals. They're the largest hospital system, private hospital system in India, and you can find them. They're the second largest hospital system in the world, and they are the top medical group, and so they're pushing on to get this thing going in India. We, about 2 years ago, I went to Norway. You can't believe in Norway, I mean, why would Norway be of interest in clinical trials? So as it turns out, Norway is the richest country in Europe. They have all the North Sea oil, and unlike the Arabs and so on forth, all the oil goes to benefit the people of Norway, and people have cradle-to-grave medical care, and the government wants to do the clinical trials, and they will pay for it all.
Oh, how nice.
The surgeons, well, the rehab doctors were really excited about this. The surgeons were skeptical. So 3 weeks ago, I brought a team of 6 Norwegian doctors. I think 3 of them were rehabilitation doctors, and 2 of them were surgeons. No, I'm sorry. Yes, 3, 2, and then 1 was the head of the stem cell center in Oslo. And I cannot believe it. They were so skeptical when they came. They were sort of whispering to each other, and you know how people are when they're skeptical. They have side comments on everything that happens. Anyway, they're now, they can't wait to transplant cells into patients in Norway. And so things are going to go very quickly there. I'm going to go there in January. And I'm hoping that we can kickstart a phase 2 trial probably in May or June in Norway. In the meantime, in the United States, when I presented that we're doing these trials in China, maybe about 2 years ago, Patricia and I were at McGee Rehabilitation Center in Philadelphia. And there were about 300 people in wheelchairs in the audience. And after I told them about the China SCI net, all these people, you know, those that could raise their hands, those that couldn't, you know, were shouting. And they were saying, how can we go to China? And I said, come, this is not good. We should not be doing outsourcing clinical trials in the United States overseas. And so we made a commitment then to do the clinical trials in the US. We currently have 6 centers, 6 of the best spinal cord injury centers in the United States signed up to do this. These include places like Shepherd in Atlanta, Kessler in New Jersey, Mount Sinai in New York City, Long Island Jewish in Long Island. We have the Detroit Institute, the Rehabilitation Institute of Michigan. We have Colorado. And we also have Brackenridge Hospital in Austin, Texas. Now you think, Austin, Texas, gosh, that is in the middle of conservative America, and we're right next door to Rick Perry. Amazingly, Brackenridge is one of the most conservative of Catholic hospitals, and they embrace this because we're doing umbilical cord blood cells. You know, people often mix umbilical cord blood with embryonic. We're not doing embryonic. We're doing umbilical cord blood. Catholics love this. They also, in fact, we've been approached by the Pope's representatives to do the trial in the Pope's Children's Hospital in the Vatican. But anyway, our first trial in the U.S. will be done in Brackenridge Hospital, which is a Catholic hospital. And I have this huge Texas flag with an inscription from Rick Perry thanking us for starting the first spinal cord injury trials in Texas. We are very, very excited because we'll do a phase 2 trial in the U.S. and then at the end of 2012, this coming year, we will initiate the first double-blind randomized multi-center trial of a cell transplant in the United States. Okay, so I've got 4 minutes left. Let me tell you about funding. You know, I think old age has radicalized me. David Cammey knew when I was young and when I was radical, but I've gotten even more radical. About 2 years ago, I said to myself, you know, by the way, I would never have done this 10 years ago. 2 years ago, I said, I'm going to pull the trigger on the clinical trial before we have all the money for it. Because I said to Patricia and others, I said, if we don't start it, if we wait for the money to come in, we will never start the trials, and we can't afford to wait anymore. So I've pulled the trigger on the trials before we have all the money. So in the United States, we have about $2 million we have still to raise for the phase 2 trial that will start in Brackenridge. We have a Texas organization raising the money for us. We have to raise about $12 million for the phase 3 trial that would start this coming fall. That's a lot of money, $14 million to raise. And so let me talk about the U.S. end the last, because that's the hardest one to do. And I'll tell you what we've tried now to do and why I believe we will be successful. In China, we've been raising all the money for the clinical trials in Hong Kong. Private donors in Hong Kong, we have a group of Chinese wives, Hong Kong wives, who are absolutely fabulous. We had one of our most successful fundraisers on primetime television last April. We raised about close to 1.1 million US dollars in one night. And there's a new foundation in Hong Kong that has been established that has $25 billion called the China Chem Foundation. Turns out that the head of this foundation has a spinal injured son-in-law, and she contacted me and she says, I want to cure spinal cord injury, and they really want to do something. And $25 billion is nothing to sneeze at.
No.
And we're working with a Buddhist group called Tzu-Chi. They are funding all the clinical trials in Taiwan. We have 2 centers in Taiwan. And finally, we're working with a number of other foundations in the Chinese. They know how to make money, and I hope now they know what to do about spending the money to benefit their people. And I think in China, they really believe that getting spinal cord injury cured is better than going to the moon. And so I think they will invest. By the way, our centers in China we have all the major Army hospitals, and we're strongly supported by the Army. They are giving us very low rates, and we're able to carry out clinical trials very rapidly. If there's one place to do clinical trials, I say it's in a Chinese Army hospital. You know, the order goes out, data gets collected, patients are treated, and they're very, very efficient. Okay, so China, I think is going well. We're pushing very hard. India, we have 2 families, very wealthy, who want to push on this, and as I told you, we have Apollo Hospital Systems helping. Norway, we have the government of Norway wanting to fund the trials. And they only have 2,500 patients, chronic spinal cord injury patients in all of Norway, but they have cradle-to-grave knowledge about them. They have medical records from before, during, and after. And they have no problems with doing 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, walking programs forever. I mean, they want to make patients walk, and the doctors are very, very excited. In the U.S., as some of you know, we started a program called JustADollarPlease.org. We're asking families with spinal cord injuries to donate $1 a day. And if 10,000 families donate $1 a day, that's $3.65 million a year. If 100,000 families donate $1 a day, that would be $36.5 million. That's more than enough to run the clinical trials in the U.S. Now, we started the justadollarplease.org about a year ago, and we have now raised about $360,000, which is nothing to be ashamed of. It's really great. This has been done through the parents of people with spinal cord injury, using email as the viral source of information spread. I had this brainwave when I was in Texas very recently concerning how to fund the clinical trials, and I've now proposed this to the state of Texas, and this is the mechanism that we're going to use in Texas. I got the company that is donating the umbilical cord blood cells. This company is called StemCell. It is the largest and the best umbilical cord blood stem cell company in the world. They have agreed to put out stock that the state of Texas can buy. So, for example, we need $2 million for the clinical trials. The state of Texas will buy $2 million worth of the company's stock, and the company will turn $2 million over for the clinical trial completely. The state then holds the stock so that when the company goes public, usually when a company goes public with an IPO, stock values go up double or triple, and that money will then be used to pay for more clinical trials, to buy more stocks in companies, and that would generate the seed money for the clinical trials. We're taking one additional step. We're asking the Moody Foundation to match $1 million of the $2 million, so that it's a private-public partnership to do that. And this would sweeten the pot for the Texas legislature to do so. We're hoping to get the support of Rick Perry to do this thing, and I hope that this will generate the $2 million, and then, of course, further on, the phase 3 trial as well. I announced this policy, or this approach, this funding approach, recently at the World Summit for Stem Cell Research in Pasadena, and I got many interested people coming in to talk to me from Nebraska, for example. Omaha, Nebraska is the home of Warren Buffett. California is very interested in doing something like this. Maybe we can get something like this going in New York and New Jersey. It is really something that's good for the companies, it is good for the state, it's good for the people, and this $1 million, $2 million is a drop in a bucket for a legislature like Texas, New York, New Jersey, or California. So we're going to push on doing this thing, and I hope that this will be a funding mechanism. In the meantime, we're going to push, of course, on the $1 a day, and we will try to get these clinical trials going. And I figure that you pull the trigger, at least part of the bullet is speeding on its way. So if the second half of the bullet follows a short time later, it's okay. I don't worry about at least we've gotten it started, we've gotten it going, and the doctors are really, really excited. And I must say, I want to end this by thanking the doctors who've committed themselves to these trials. This is something you could probably not imagine, let's say 5, 6 years ago. The doctors are all volunteering their services. They're not taking $1 for this thing. They want to do this to cure people with spinal cord injury. We've got 24 centers in China. We've got 6 centers in India. We've got 3 centers in Oslo, in Norway, and we've got 8 centers here in the U.S. doing this. I mean, it does my heart good to see the doctors committing themselves and also taking the chance. They're the ones who are operating. They're the ones who are injecting the cells. They believe, and I hope, that their faith in the therapy will be rewarded. And I'm very thankful to them for donating their time. And without them, I don't think we can do it. And so I want to thank the doctors who've never been properly thanked for their role in these clinical trials. And so I'm very happy to tell you that this is the Christmas present that the doctors of the world are giving to the spinal cord injury community. And I hope that all this will turn out next April, May, June, somewhere around there, and I'll be jumping up and down with news of some sort.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Doctor.